Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm Catherine and I talk about reducing waste by making instead of buying, and in today's video I'm going to meal prep. So I bought 2 chickens and I'm going to use them from nose to tail, everything, and we are going to make several meals. My goal for this video is to show you that you can quickly make a lot of meals out of 2 chickens. And you don't have to do it all at once. So I'm going to be meal prepping a little bit at lunch and then for dinner. So there will be 2 times instead of spending here 4 hours. I'm also going to try out some sriracha. I never bought it before, even though I've seen several videos and blog posts and everything talking about it. So hopefully this will be good. So let's go ahead and start. It's 12:30, so we'll see how much time does it take me to make some meals.
The first thing that I do is to cut my chicken. So I asked my butcher to cut into 4 pieces each chicken, and I remove the breast myself. It's not that difficult to do, and you just want to put it really close to the bone and remove the chicken breast. This is one of the things that I did a lot in college to save money. Now I have to confess that I don't always do this, but it gives me a lot of meat and it also provides chicken broth. That's what we'll be doing as well. So if you don't take out all the meat, don't worry, because once the chicken is cooked, we are going back and take out all the meat that was in the bone. I'm also going to take out all the wings, and that's what we are going to eat for lunch today. It's just 4 wings, so it's not something that we could use for another meal, and we are just going ahead and eat it. And I'm also going to take out the legs because that's what we'll be eating and making for dinner. Don't worry about too much. I did remove a lot of the skin, especially in the chicken breasts. I didn't take out a lot of the fat, but removing the skin does help decrease the fat content. So just cut everything until you finished taking the meat out of the chicken breasts. The recipe calls for bell pepper, and since it's not in season, I just bought 1. And I bought some broccoli, which is in season, and I'm going to roast both of these in the oven. And they end up really good. The broccoli, I just couldn't help myself eating it. As you can see here, the chicken broth is almost come to a boil. I'm going to prep the rice so that way it's out of the way. Rice can keep warm for a long time, so I'm just going ahead and start doing that. Okay, so let's finally put the veggies in a roasting pan. I use silicone mats to reduce the amount of disposable items that I use, and I just cover with salt and olive oil and a little bit of pepper, and that's about it. Okay, I actually didn't put any pepper. So now let's quickly prep the chicken wings with salt, pepper, and cornstarch. And I'm going to prep a kind of grill, I guess. I just cover with olive oil with a brush. I don't use baking sprays of any sort, so that helps. And I'm going to put these in the oven along with the vegetables. That way I can use the oven in a very efficient way because I'm cooking several things at the same time. Let's cook the chicken breasts. The recipe calls for salsa and I can open it. It actually took more than 10 minutes to open this, but I was able to do that. So just put a little bit of chicken broth there, so I just grab directly and the salsa. And to clean up the jars, I use a little bit of the chicken broth and shake each jar. That way I'm using everything that's in the jar, or at least almost everything. And now I just waited for it to cook. And while everything is cooking and there's nothing else for me to do in terms of cooking, I'm going to wash up a little bit. I'm terribly bad at washing up as I go, but I've been doing better and better, especially living in a small apartment. If you don't have a clean kitchen while you are cooking in a small apartment, it tends to get a chaos, basically. I said that we'll come back to eat everything from the bones. So I took out from the chicken broth and I'm trying to remove all the meat from the bones, and I'll then put in the salsa chicken breast meal and return the bones back to the pan so the chicken broth can continue to simmer. And once the chicken breast is cooked, I shred it, and obviously that I have to taste it. So time to arrange everything in the containers. I prefer to use glass containers, but glass containers are more expensive. So if you don't have those, use plastic containers. That's what I did before, and I still use them because I don't have enough glass containers. Just let it cool down for a while and you'll be okay. So I'm adding the rice, the salsa, and to be honest, I have no idea if this was the salsa in itself that I chose, because it's not really common here in Portugal to buy salsa, and I bought one that I saw in a specialty store, and we were not huge fans of this meal. The salsa was kind of bland and it was all the same flavors over and over again. I would certainly try to perhaps add more spices next time. I would try it anyway, and let me know in the comment section down below if there's a brand that I should look out for, because since I don't usually buy salsa, perhaps that was the problem. I chose a brand that was not that great. And if you have noticed, I add some leftover chicken sauce, and I decided to not add more rice, and that will be a pasta with this sauce. It's such a simple way to change up what you eat without changing a whole lot. I also strain the chicken broth and add 2 containers. Just make sure that you leave enough headspace so it doesn't ruin in the freezer. It gave me 3 jars, so that's a good amount. Let's move ahead to dessert. I'm going to make some liquid caramel and using up the egg whites that I had in my fridge from making other kind of sweets. So first of all, you start by mixing the egg whites together and beat them until they are nice and whipped, and then add sugar. The math is to simply add 1 tablespoon of sugar for each egg white that you have in the recipe. See? It's easy. Once you added the sugar, beat the sugar with the egg whites and it's done. But before finishing up, I'm just going to quickly make the chicken wing sauce. I'm going to link the description down below, and this is where I use the sriracha. Okay, now back to the Molotov. Add the liquid caramel. I didn't do the caramel properly, so it kind of burned a little bit. So definitely make a good liquid caramel if you want to do this, because it's the key components of this dish. Coat a round baking pan with the hole in the middle with the liquid caramel and then add the egg whites. And to cook these, you should have a tray with water boiling in your oven, and then you put the baking pan on top of it. Then you let it bake for about 20 minutes. If you have less egg whites, you should let it cook for less time. And once you have the top nice and golden, you turn off the heat, open a little bit the oven to release the steam, and then close it again and leave it on the oven to cool down. So my chicken wings are ready. Basically, I'm going to add the rice and the broccoli, but I already ate a ton of broccoli while I was cooking, so I don't have a lot. And I add the sauce. The sauce was a little bit too spicy for our tastes, and I had a ton of leftover, which I froze, and I'll do this again with maybe more meat so I can use it up entirely.
It's 6 p.m. and I'm going to start making dinner. I'm going to make a really... It's not quick to make, but it doesn't take me a long time to prep. So I'm just going to make some chicken thighs with some potatoes and carrots and put them in the oven and let them roast until they are cooked. And I'll be watching a TV show while this is cooking, so it will be a very, very easy dinner with some leftovers so we can eat later in the week.
I'm going to first start prepping the potatoes. I put more or less 2-3 potatoes per portion. Feel free to add more or less depending on what you like. And then I'm also going to add some carrots because I have them and I want to use them up. Feel free to add any other vegetables as well. Beetroot would be really good here as well. So I don't peel neither the potatoes or the carrots because I'm lazy, and it's still really good, so you shouldn't have to peel them either. So I'm adding a little bit bay leaf, thyme, a garlic clove and white pepper. The most important ingredient for this recipe is this red pepper paste, and I'll link it down below how you can make it. It's really flavorful and it adds a ton of flavor without extra work. So I'm adding the chicken thighs and I'm going to rub everything in it. And as you can see here, I didn't add any oil because the fat from the skin will seep into everything else. So I don't think that's necessary to add extra oil. Adding a little bit of red wine because I added, and it's really nice. And now I put it in the oven and let it cook for about 2 hours. and it's done. And it looks really pretty and yummy. And now that I had dinner, I'm going to put the leftovers into 2 separate portions. As I've said, I don't have enough glass containers, so I'm going to use a plastic container as well. So feel free to do that. You don't need glass containers to meal prep. And what I like about this is that I could have made only 2 portions, but I instead made 4, so I could have leftovers. And that's it.
So this was my Sunday meal prep. I hope it's helpful. I'm going to link all the recipes that I used down below, and hopefully this inspired you to do some meal prep. I think it really allows you to spend less time in the kitchen while still eating good, nutritious food. If you have noticed, I didn't meal prep for the whole week, and basically the reason why is that I have a fruit affairs basket, which is basically an imperfect produce kind of program that I have to get my baskets every Wednesday. I try to not let it past Wednesday, basically, because I want to be able to use up those vegetables and fruits, and if I did meal prep, I would waste food because they would be forgotten. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comment section down below what have you meal prepped this week, and I'll see you in the next video. Please hit that like button and subscribe. Bye!